right. So welcome to our first edition of Chewing the Fat with Wendy and Jason. I'm Wendy Lieber. I am the co-founder and CEO of Content Bacon, and Jason Etter, who you're going to get to meet more in a bit, is our VP of Marketing. And today we're going to cover three things. One, I'm going to introduce you to the amazing, fabulous Jason. Two, we're going to talk about 6 degrees of bacon, what it is and why you should be interested. And three, we're going to talk about how to make boring things interesting. So to start, I'm super excited to introduce our VP of Marketing, Jason, who's been with us going on 3 months, but it's been in the making for over 3 years. And it's super exciting for Content Bacon to have our own VP of Marketing to really evolve our brand and make sure that our product line is as innovative as it comes. And one of the things I love so much about Jason and why I'm so excited to have him on the team is he lives and breathes storytelling. He loves it. It's his passion, and it shows in the product of what he does, but also in the interaction. And for all of you, our amazing customers, you'll have the opportunity, if you haven't already, to meet, interact with him, have him, kind of interact with your strategy and make sure that going into 2022, you've got the most innovative, best of the best strategy there is. So Jason, why don't you say hi and talk about why you're excited to be part of this amazing team?
I'm excited. My whole life goal is to just tell stories. So I get to do that now every day, and I get to learn from all of you. And as I'm having opportunities to sit down virtually with all of you, I'm learning so much about why Content Bacon sizzles and creates some smoking hot content on a regular basis. So I'm excited to do that every day.
So the second thing I wanted to talk about is what we affectionately refer to as 6 degrees of bacon here at Content Bacon. And it's really about how to make sure, in addition to content that has that SEO value, that's covering, key terms, key phrases around your product or service offering. I'll refer to it as more informational, educational content, that you're also doing content that's entertaining, inspirational. And a great example of what I'm talking about is, over 100 years old, but the Michelin Guide. So when Michelin started out, this was, when driving just started to become popular in France, and most people spent their Sundays family picnics. As cars became more the norm and that expanded reach, Michelin, in an effort to sell car tires, because they started out as bicycle tires, started creating this guide on, best, driving routes, gas stations close by, restaurants, all kinds of things. And that's kind of how the Michelin Guide started. And then, 119 years later, it's evolved to, Michelin stars for restaurants. So it's a really great example of content that's not directly related to the product or service, but really builds a strong community, and it addresses who your target audience is around different things they might be interested in. And another example is Red Bull, kind of a more current example. Red Bull is an energy drink, but Red Bull is really a media conglomerate.
There's this sense that, like, how am I going to talk about my product or my service over and over and over again? And the simple answer is you shouldn't, right? When you're trying to build an audience, when you're trying to build upon your brand, it's those special moments that make your story more relevant. So like the Michelin Guide, like Red Bull. I'm not a Red Bull drinker, right? But man, do I know about Red Bull. I know about Red Bull more than I do any other energy drink. So if I was ever to recommend an energy drink or ever become a energy drinker, I believe I would start at Red Bull, at least, right? Or at least I would know to start looking there. And I think that's sort of the message that we want to showcase too, is who are you talking to? What are their interests? It's just like if let's say you're running a PPC campaign, right? You're going to start thinking about what are the demographics? What are my audiences? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What do they do? Well, wait a second. You don't need to just focus all of that knowledge that you have on paid engagements. Why don't we expand upon that knowledge you have and start to create a content strategy around that to build awareness of your compassion for your audience? There's so many opportunities to do that. It could be blogs, it could be newsletters, it could be something unique, something completely different, maybe just even a mailer piece that helps and provides insight to those that you're looking to educate in a way, or just provide a helpful insight to make their day just a little bit better. They will definitely remember you.
Two quick examples of things we've personally been involved in. One, we had a company that we worked with that did office supplies, and their number one selling product was toilet paper. You can't get more commodity than that. And so one of the things we came up with to help them make this interesting was we called it, instead of Tales from the Crypt, we called it Tales from the Crapper. And it was just this really funny newsletter that talked about all the interesting, weird things that can sometimes happen in employee restrooms. And so that was an example of taking something really boring, really commodity, but creating something unique, impactful, certainly memorable, and something people look forward to. And then this other example, I can't remember if we came up with this or we heard about it, and now I'm taking credit for it. But a law firm we worked with realized that all of their clients had some common interest, i.e. smoking cigars, fine bourbon, and wine. And so some of their content started to be around highlighting that, which again, instead of just getting, lawyer content, which, has its place and sometimes people need that, but they created this ongoing, more lifestyle content that covered that they were part of and that their audience really appreciated. And so those are just, kind of two examples of how to come at it. And I guess the takeaway is, if that's something, we're not currently exploring with you, let's explore it, because there could be lots of opportunities and lots of ways to really add value. And from an ROI perspective, stuff like this adds value to your company. It's like, it creates a cachet for your brand that is really hard to duplicate. It's a super unique competitive differentiation if you're doing, and it's hard to do, which is why there's companies like us, because it's not easy to do.
Think of the whole swag campaign concept, right? Oh, I got to give them something that they'll remember me for. Well, why not a story? Why not something that relates to me, that makes me feel like, wow, they really spent a lot of time in considering my interests.
The last thing we want to talk about, how to make boring things interesting. So this is something that a lot of people comment when they get emails from us, from me, that we have, this cool salutation, sizzling regards. And that's an example of how to take something, very mundane, sincerely yours, best regards, whatever that means, and turn it into something that's not only relatable to our brand, but something that's memorable. And there's a lot of other ways to do that. Things like, about us, contact us, services, sign up for our newsletter, like things that are very common. And there's, there's sometimes a reason to use language that everyone can relate to, but it's also a place to look where, how can we say this in a way that is more sizzling, that is more memorable? And there's lots of different places to look for it. And so I always love, brainstorming on this. You always have a free offer from me if you want a sizzling salutation yourself, and you just send me an email. I'll come up with a bunch of ideas for you. This is like super fun for me to do. But again, just like another way to think about content and think about those kind of mundane things that you almost like don't even see because you're so used to seeing them. But with a little tweak here or there, all of a sudden it becomes memorable. It becomes like, you pay attention. And that's really what we're trying to do. It's like sometimes our brain, because we're so used to seeing stuff, it doesn't even like register what we're seeing. So you have to do things to kind of, interrupt, stop, kind of like not scare, but, kind of, just like get in your face a little bit. So again, something to think about, something that if we're not having those conversations with you about, we should be. But yeah, I love the how to make boring things interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm. And, just another example of, I feel that a lot of times on websites, like the two things that were probably most important to you, one being your menu, that there's like multiple CTAs right there in your menu that could completely frame or reframe what people should expect from you. If you're fun and you're outgoing, etc., make it fun and outgoing. If you're sophisticated and serious and you're speaking to a very niche audience, make sure it relates there. You know, it doesn't have to be mundane, but it can be super relevant and interesting, right? Go to like multiple websites that you would love and enjoy, and you'll see a lot of them, unfortunately, they make that very bland and very boring.
Yeah.
You know, about us, content, etc. Think about ways to make that more creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing with websites. I think a lot of companies, the goal is let's get a website up. And then it's like, okay, then we forget about it. And a website is, it's your current day, retail store. It's where people are going to check you out, to learn new things. And so getting the website up, updating it every so often is certainly kind of a check the box, but then really starting to look at it from this lens on how do we make it engaging? How do we make it fun or sophisticated or whatever those brand traits are? That's an ongoing thing. Again, it's not easy. It's not like, oh, let's just be fun. It takes something. It takes, iterations of things to do that. And it's why I love the content game so much, is because the more you do it, the better you get and the more your brand evolves. But it is a process. It's not like a one and done.
One last fun example is think about your generic emails that you use for catch-alls, whether it's contact us, sales at, that's real estate that people are going to see on your screen. So remember, like if it's contact us at your domain, or is it like Rockstar McGee at your McGee, like that suddenly just really, what is Rockstar? Well, who? Things like that, it's like the sizzling regard. It's a perfect example. It's just a little ounce of sizzle that just sort of changes your perspective on what's going on here. And you'll remember it, which makes storytelling all the more fun.
Awesome. So we're going to end it there, and stay tuned for the next version of Chewing the Fat with Jason and Wendy. And if you have any questions or any of this sparks wanting to have a conversation, feel free to reach out to us, and more to come. So thank you.
Wonderful. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.